No one is gonna sleep with you for saying this. No one.
Wait,
Like, they're not gonna find you sexy. Guys, welcome back once again. Today we've got another video for you. We're gonna be reacting to the supposed male loneliness epidemic because, I don't know, man, they might not be lonely. I'm not lonely.
I'm not lonely.
Exactly, so, and we're two males, so, like, do you know what I mean?
That's the video then, guys.
But I've already seen this video. I like this YouTuber, Short Head. Like, she makes good videos. I feel like she makes videos that bring it back to, like, the peak of YouTube, like the 2016 days. I think she's like a lefty person, but like she just has a decent perspective that isn't stereotypical, or like too far left or anything like that. And yeah, I've seen this video and I thought it was interesting, so I wanted to show you. I saw it like when it first came out, which is like 7-8 months ago, so I don't particularly remember everything, but I want to see your perspective. Before we even get into that, make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment, all that stuff, bell notifications, because
before you watch the video.
Before you even watch it, because why not, man? Why not? It really helps us out. It lets us know what you like and what you don't like, so we can make more of it.
I regret to inform you, the men are not okay. That's right, folks, the men are not okay. The men have no friends, no girlfriend, no college education, no money, are breaking
men are trash!
inserting metal rods into their bones to be a few inches taller, and listening to—
You know how crazy that is, though?
I could never.
You know how crazy that is?
And you know some people are equating that to a woman getting a BBO.
To be fair,
It's not the same.
I mean, I guess a woman can go to the gym in it and grow her bum.
Struggling. And what should we do about it?
A few new studies have come out that have shown that young men are more lonely and single than ever before. But it's not just men. The women and children, too. It's predicted 45% of women will be single and childless by 2030. But according to the media, this is a good thing. The she-economy is booming, as they say. And meanwhile, men being single is treated like this.
She-economy is crazy, man.
Single men are having a hard time finding a new partner.
Some of the music that they listen to speaks very derogatory.
Right. Yeah, men, stop listening to that derogatory music. Then maybe you won't be single. I don't know, I think
So
men
listen
and
to Taylor
women
Swift,
being
man.
single and lonely
Empowering.
kind of shows there might be something wrong. Japan also has an issue with loneliness. In fact, they have a whole movement of people they call the hikikomori.
Isn't it leftover women?
Did I say that right?
That's Kotokoshi.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care. Basically, postmodern hermits. Mostly young men who completely withdraw from society, secluding themselves in their rooms for months and years at a time. In 2010,
basically,
there
you
was
guys
an
found on
estimated
Discord.
700,000
Discord and Reddit.
Discord and
and
Reddit.
today, it's estimated to be about 1.55 million.
It's actually
Because of things like
1.55,
this, people
but, you know,
aren't having babies,
just
so
saying.
Japan's
She probably didn't
population has
study
been
maths,
in a
but
sharp
just saying.
decline since 2011. It's gotten so bad that Japan even produces videos of live-action women staring into the camera to help the hikikomori learn to cope with
completely
eye
forgot about this part in
contact
the
and
video. That's
reintegrate them back
crazy.
into society. So basically, if
But you know
That
what?
is so moist.
That's so weird.
That's so moist. So you're on your computer screen and the girl's like just looking all quote unquote cute and that. You're just supposed to look at her to maintain eye contact. That is so like what?
The thing I find really interesting is that obviously I've been watching there's this YouTuber who's like in Japan and he does like vlogs and stuff and street interviews. He goes up to women and asks them their views on dating and, you know, whether men are allowed to cheat and whatever. A lot of them have just said yes, and it's like a two-way thing where women cheat a lot, men cheat a lot. It's just a part of the culture.
From what I've seen of what you're talking about, a lot of them say if they step out with an escort, they don't really count it the same way as if they step out with someone who's not.
So yeah, I saw that as well, and to me that just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Like I've been to the Netherlands because I used to obviously work there, and you used to have to walk through the red light district to get to my office, kind of thing. I can't imagine you being in like Europe and saying to your girl, "Oh yeah, like I'm gonna go spend a night with a sex worker," and it's not deep because it's her job, like, which is essentially what those girls were saying, isn't it? Like, to me, it doesn't make sense. But I find it interesting how they can have such a hyper callous attitude towards sex and be like, oh no, like being with a sex worker is nothing. But then also there's the other extreme of people being completely lonely. Like, it's actually, I find it interesting, the dichotomy between the two.
dating apps really are the great Satan, and I'm convinced they've completely broken men's brains. Women on dating apps are picky. Women in general are picky, and I mean, naturally we are pickier. You know, we're the ones who carry the babies. At least for now. But on dating apps, it's a little insane. It's safe to say that the commodification of love and the window shopping of dating apps probably has to do a lot with the rise of lonely single men. Men are not just lonely when it comes to dating, they're lonely when it comes to friendship too. According to Vox, Americans are currently in a friendship recession, and men are being hit the hardest. The percentage of men who
Are you my friend?
at least 6 close friendships fell in half since the 90s. 1 in 5 men say they have no close friendships.
That's crazy.
But then that also means 4 in 5 men say they do have close friendships.
Looking on the bright side, yes, but I do think it's a concerning stat that 20% of men will be saying that they have no close friends. Like,
yeah, that's a bit.
Especially when you know that men are more likely to off themselves.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know what how the metric and they used to figure it out, and I don't know if the stat is growing. I don't know if it's showing like a increase from previous years, but that is kind of concerning that 1 in every 5 people, or 5 men, is saying that they have no close relationships. Like, that's crazy.
I forgot where I read it. There's also a stat saying the greatest danger to most men, like, unaliving themselves, passing away, is themselves.
Yeah, like I think once you get to a certain age, or when you're within a certain age range,
the highest cause of death
is self-deletion, which is crazy. You know, like, What do you think about that point she made about she brought up about dating apps just changing the landscape?
It's definitely brought the landscape to a place where a lot of people, let's say men, for example, because this is what we're talking about, they instantly believe that they have a bountiful options because they're on their phone, they're just swiping, and then, you know, back in the day when you'd see pop-ups, they say, oh my gosh, hot girls in your area. That's literally what Tinder is to a certain extent. Like, it is quote-unquote hot girls in your area because it's true the girls in your radius who are quote-unquote attractive.
But some people would argue that, well, they aren't getting any hot girls in the area. Like, no one's responding. They're not getting any matches. And so what would you say to people who have that experience? Because me personally, I've never used dating app. I don't think you've ever really used dating apps like that. So, like, what would you say to people who are experiencing that?
It's a shame because it's different to going out into the real world and speaking to someone and that person, like, declining their advances.
Yeah.
But for them to know that when other people are seeing their profile, they're swiping left because they're getting no matches, it's definitely very, very delayed.
That probably hurt. That probably hurt your chest a bit.
Exactly. Because from what I've heard about people who use dating apps, sometimes it's not even really about meeting the person who you're swiping with, but it's getting the confirmation that when you swipe right on a person, you get the match and the endorphin rush that you get.
Yeah, do you know? I remember. I don't remember when this was, but I was speaking to one of my friends that this girl, I think it might have been uni, and she was saying how sometimes when her self-esteem is down, she'll just go on Tinder and, like, what's it called? Just see what guys match with her, and then she'll delete it afterwards.
That's so pointless.
It boosts your ego, but
so pointless. So if, like, let's say her makeup wasn't looking fantastic that day, and she really goes there, and she just swipes it, but at least she knows, oh, okay.
It'll make her feel good, innit? It'll make her feel good.
That's crazy.
But,
Now, recently, Vosh, who's a popular streamer, had tweeted this thread that I think is really, really important to address. He writes, I cannot stress enough how important it is to understand that 12-year-old white boys on Twitch are not being pulled into fascism because of some Machiavellian desire to preserve and expand their privileges. It's because the right talks to them and the left doesn't.
The responses to these
tweets
in this content.
Sorry. One thing I find interesting about that is that when you, I don't know if you keep up with a lot of, like, American politics and, like,
a decent amount,
the discourse that people have, but you'll find that people generally demonize or say that, oh, this person, men shouldn't be following this person, this person's a bad example, Andrew Tate's bad, which I don't necessarily disagree or I don't necessarily agree, but for me, Andrew Tate wouldn't be a role model, like, right? Like, I have a dad in my life. I didn't need that. Do you know what I mean? But they never, the people who would be quick to criticize and the Andrew Tates, the Jordan Petersons, Chris Williamson or whoever, he's actually having conversations about these things. They'll never point you towards who they should be, looking towards, and so you get an issue where you're demonizing what I do have, but then not offering me anything. So why would I look to you and listen to what you're saying when all you're doing is criticizing and not offering any solutions? Which, in fairness, is something I've thought about, like Red Pill in general, like especially as of late. Like, it's gotten to the point where they'll criticize things and criticize how stuff like marriage and how relationships are today, but then they'll never offer a solution. They'll just say, "Oh, I'm not prescribing anything, I'm just telling you how it is," but you essentially are prescribing things, right? So that it's interesting that
I mean, the Red Pill movement essentially says just get around as much as possible, and if you want to settle down, you're in a better position to settle down because you've been around the block, basically. But then it's like, obviously for me, like, I don't think that's I don't necessarily agree with that either. Like, I don't think that would be good for anyone, but I do find it interesting that on the left side of things that people will criticize the people like Jordan Peterson, who technically, right, he's a smart, intelligent man. He's emotionally intelligent, which is like a thing that people always say he needs to be. Yeah, so he can't be described as toxically masculine because he cries on camera. So it's like, if even him, this person you're saying isn't a good role model for men, who is? Like, who is? And no one can ever describe a person like I said, for me, I've got a dad in my life. I've got older brothers. I've got good people around me to see, okay, this is the kind of person I want to be. But for the people who don't have that, the people online are presenting they're presenting the best alternative. So if you don't have a dad or a brother, it's like Andrew Tate is quote unquote telling them the things that dad should have told them.
That we're very normal, level-headed, and respectful. Me when I lie. LMAO, cry about it. Boo f***ing who? Oh no, poor widow men having problems. Boo f***ing who? Grow the f*** up then. Have men considered being smarter? I'm enjoying all these sad little moloids and their sad little tweets about their sad, pathetic lives. Sounds like a personal problem. Is the lack of compassion for men in the room with us right now? Maybe men are just not good people then. I'm so f***ing tired of people trying to make male loneliness a huge societal problem. Yeah, no, their fifis are not my responsibility, and I shouldn't have to be punished because they can't get their shit together as human beings. Grow the f*** up. Why are we trying to
One thing I don't get is the women who subscribe to this notion, the majority of the women who subscribe to this notion, would still want a man to approach them.
100%.
Would still want to get married.
100%.
Would still want to have a male in the house when they raise their kids.
100%.
But then they're criticizing the people who could potentially fulfill those roles when they're having potential hardship.
But you know what I find really funny though is like, the moment you say, you add like a minority group into the mix, say, oh, black men are feeling this way. These same people that are all like really liberal and like say all this stuff, they'd be like, oh, we feel sorry for them. Oh, maybe you add like a trans man into it. Oh, it's different. It's like, I love how they generalize when there's no like specific group spoken about, but then
listen up, chuckle. I'm white, socially awkward, autistic, in my 40s, ugly, overweight, crippled, got a weird balding pattern, and have bad skin. You know what I didn't do? Choose to become a fascist.
People like this, are the worst kind of human being. Like, I hate the pandering is crazy.
Ugly and pathetic, but at least I'm not a fascist.
At least that's literally what he's saying. That's literally what he's saying. It's so lame, man. It's so lame.
Men flock brain dead advice like get consent and don't be a Nazi and women are people. Walking up to men struggling with loneliness and depression like,
kids, don't be racist.
Incredible. Here's my actual advice I would give my teen boys as a leftist. 1. Always get enthusiastic consent. 2. Save the planet. Consent. 3. Don't say that. It's actually kind of racist. Like what the fuck is this? How does this address men and
engaging with adult relations in a female?
As an engaging with adult relations.
I'm trying to keep PG here, guys. And let's say, okay, cool. Person A is a male, person B is a female, right? And person A, or the guy in the situation, kisses the girl, right? If she's also kissing him back, right? And she's not saying, oh my gosh, keep going, where is the enthusiastic consent coming?
Oh, no, but where you going wrong is that women don't need to ask men for consent. It's just, it only works the other way around. That's why you're not understanding.
Right. See, I didn't know.
Aside from procreation purposes, men have become obsolete. Most women can find other methods of achieving orgasm without a man there.
It's a man saying that. That's the thing. It's a man saying that. That's the thing. It's like no one is gonna sleep with you for saying this. No one.
Oh my god.
Like they're not gonna find you sexy.
I'm so sorry, man. Look at this guy's picture. I can't
Fam.
man. Like, come on, man. Like, just because you're saying these things online doesn't heighten your appeal to women.
He's one of those people who's saying, "Oh, I'm a nice guy. I deserve a good woman who loves it." Like, it's like, shut up, man.
You know what?
It's so lame.
Any woman. What happened to males just kicking the bucket? They just come on here and try to make their loneliness and misery into some social justice issue. Oh, trust me.
Oh my
In the
days.
bucket.
No,
They're
that's
not giving advice like just to be a
That is
liberal. They're outright
hateful.
dismissing men's.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's not our job to educate them. Since men created the problem,
I really dislike that phrase. It's not our job to educate them. Like,
Yes, it is. Like, yes, it is.
I dislike it from all sides.
Oh my gosh.
When
Oh my
when
days.
people were saying in the height of the BLM
Yeah,
movement,
yeah,
I
yeah,
really disliked
yeah,
it. Like,
yeah.
oh, well, I don't need to educate you on my struggles. But if it's your struggle and someone is taking time out of the day to try and find out about what your struggle is, enlighten them on what your struggle is.
And especially because it's like you're the one that's trying to change things. It
Precisely.
shouldn't be on me, like, to have to do the research to help you change things. You're the one who wants things change, so you should be actively pursuing avenues to change things. And
Yeah.
educating people is one of those avenues. Oh my gosh. This used to vex me so much, man. It used to vex me so much. Oh my days, man.
they would never talk about any other group this way. It's wild. And it's kinda
That's what I'm
like
saying.
both sides
Bring
are
black
telling
man into it,
men
bring
to
trans man
hold
into it.
themselves up by
It
their
changes
bootstraps,
completely.
But one is like, I'll show you how, and the other is like, fuck off. Every time this Discord comes up, there's people like, we need a leftist Andrew Tate. We need masculine role models on the left. But the fact is, it's hard for progressives to organically appeal to men because a
Because
large
they hate
part
men.
of progressivism is oppressive hierarchy, and men are
Yeah.
oppressors.
What would a
Making
leftist Andrew Tate
progressivism
even
look
look like?
appealing to young men is an uphill battle from the
But
start.
I think the
And
point she
although
made
it's funny
there is
to
actually
laugh at
really
his
is interesting. There's obviously like one big tenet of leftism right now is, you know, like the hierarchy of oppression. I think as a human being, if a group is constantly pooing on you and constantly putting you down, you're generally going to gravitate towards a group that seems to be a bit more accepting of you. So I think you see that with even like people like Elon Musk, right, who he said he's never voted for a Republican before, but he's thinking of it this year. And obviously you see how when the cough was going on, obviously a lot of like outlets like CNN and other news outlets, media outlets were coming for him and saying that he was pushing unhealthy things and basically calling like the worst human being in the world. And as a result of that, he started gravitating more towards the people that were accepting him, which was like right-leaning audiences. It's the same thing with men in general. I think right now there is a culture of people coming. I don't think this happens in real life as much, but at least online, there's a culture of, you know, saying men are trash, men are bad, men do this, men do that. And because of that, people are going, the men who don't have interactions with people in real life, who don't see that women aren't actually like this on a day-to-day basis, they will start going towards the Andrew Tates, the men's rights activists. And if other people are always constantly like demonizing a man, of course they're going to be pushing those men towards the groups that do advocate for them.
Anyway, misandry is real. Oh good, finally! And while it doesn't systemically affect cis men, it most certainly affects trans men. Oh. Y'all talking about misandry doesn't harm men, and trans men are right
Oh
there
my days,
with
man.
this shit. Actually, now we only care about misandry.
You see what I said? Like the moment you add like any kind of minority
Care
group
about them.
into
I
it,
love how the
they
rhetoric
change the
just
attitude.
Evolved overnight from male. Why aren't you including trans men in your misandry,
Nobody told me how
Oh yeah, I've seen this video before.
being a man is. We knew what depth felt like before we transitioned. We knew what it felt like to like have people want to hug us and to have people want to talk to us and to have a community. And then you transition and you're just a guy walking down the street that people cross the street so that they're not near you. And friendships are so much harder to build. What's hard is none of this invalidates how real and raw women and people who are in marginalized groups feel about cis white men. All of that's valid. But I also now understand why this suicide rate is so much higher in men.
Welcome to being a man. Here's your complimentary isolation and yellow pillow. I love how even when he's experiencing the issues of being a man, he's like, this doesn't invalidate people hating men. Come on, bro.
A lot of things that she spoke about doesn't necessarily get spoken about in the circles that she's in. She's on the left. And I think that her audience might resonate with it, but I think her audience might not resonate with all of it. They might think she's quote-unquote transitioning to the right, because a lot of the time people hear about content regarding men uplifting themselves, it's the right. So
yeah, you were even seeing articles being like written basically saying that men going to the gym is like a right-wing thing or is toxic masculinity. Yeah, it's mad. So I watched like who's like a leftist streamer, but I also watch like Daily Wire stuff like what's called Ben Shapiro and like Matt Walsh and stuff. And so it's like I get both perspectives on things, and I think one point that Destiny makes that is interesting is that women have been socialized generally to be feminine, right? As society's gone on, but as the last like 50 years, women have done well to take on traits that were stereotypically allocated to men. Working, being educated, not having children straight away. Those are things that usually be associated with men, because men would work, men would be the ones that get educated, would be the only ones allowed to get educated for some time, and a man could delay having children and then marry a younger woman because they were like fertile. Whereas now, men these days obviously generally were socialized to be masculine, but he thinks that men aren't doing well enough when it comes to being a bit more feminine. So he doesn't say talk about your emotions to everyone, but just being a bit more understanding of your emotions rather than doing a madness every time you're angry, right? Yeah. Or just being able to listen to someone and rather than always trying to give them a solution. Because I think one thing you will know if you know women is that sometimes
they don't necessarily want a solution.
They just want to be heard, right? Exactly.
And quote unquote validated.
And I think as a man, you have a tendency to just, if there's an issue, you want to solve it, right? You want to provide a solution, and that can make your interactions with women and just people in general be very awkward. And so it's difficult. I think it sounds dumb, but I think guys just need to put themselves out there, because you're seeing that people are a lot more scared to just approach someone, even if it's approach a group of male people. Like they'll be afraid to do that just because of everyone's on social media, everyone's in Reddit forums, everyone's in Discord, rather than having actual real interactions. And obviously COVID didn't help that, because you're away from people for so long, and Gen Z's kind of been affected by that a lot, and Gen Alpha as well. But it sounds basic, but putting yourself out there is the only thing you can do and the only thing you should do in order to combat that. Because the more you expose yourself to things that you're uncomfortable with, the easier it gets to be 100%. In that. I like this video. Obviously, it's the second time I'm watching it now, and I think she makes some really good points, and she calls out her side, which is nice, but then also talks about the issues with the other side of things. And obviously, they're American. We live in the UK. I think in the UK, it's a lot easier to be a centrist on things and say, have opinions that, fit in both sides. Whereas in the US, it seems you have to be one extreme or the other, right? But guys, obviously I'm not going to have the entirety of her video in this one because I'm trying to steal her content. But you should definitely go check hers out. I'll put the link in the description so anyone can go see it. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think about our discussion and the points you made. Are we right? Are we wrong? All of that stuff. Like, subscribe, press that bell notification. And we'll see you next time. Peace.